Yo, what's up, StockTwits crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Rip. Hope everybody had a good weekend so far. It's been kind of crazy. Not much relaxing going on with everything happening, and we're gonna get into all that on the show this morning. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a fun morning. We're gonna get everybody ready for the week. And yeah, Shy, how we feeling? I know a lot of craziness going on. We're waking up to the charts down this morning. How are we feeling about the markets?
Yeah, so I mentioned in our sign off on Thursday, get some R&R this weekend. There's going to be a volatile following week. We got it. Trump tariffs. That's the talk of the town. That's what's kind of moving the market. If you guys aren't aware, an increase in essentially global liquidity decreases with the tariffs, and that's correlated across every avenue of investing. It could be the equity market. You're seeing crypto bleeding. It is just liquidity is what drives all markets, and tariffs is the kryptonite for it. So when you see commentary that tariffs are rising, not just for one nation, but essentially dozens, so that's going to cause somewhat of fear and uncertainty. Market also hates uncertainty, does not like noise. So you're going to see some sell off. And right now, to be honest, like it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. QQQ down negative 1.7%, SPY down negative 1.4%.
It's really
I
not
thought it
that
was
bad. We're
we
not
just
even we didn't even take the range daily lows on NQ or yes yet, right?
well
So like
just a week ago it was down 5%. Like this is
yeah.
nothing compared to just a week ago during that day. So I think it's okay. VIX is at 20 only. I would be really concerned maybe if VIX got elevated to 30. You guys remember the yen carry trade crisis? It ballooned up to 60, and that was way oversold nature. So I don't think we're oversold right now. I just think this is actually reasonable selling pre-market.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Well, let's get into it. Let's recap with the daily rip from last week and get ready for the new week ahead. What happened last week on Monday? DeepSeek AI fears slammed the US stock market. We That was a got it. I don't know why it feels like that was long ago. That was just last week. Jeez.
I know.
China's DeepSeek wiped out $589 billion in Nvidia market cap and over $2 trillion from U.S. stocks. Still, retail investors remained optimistic, with 71% of StockTwits users polled naming Nvidia as their top pick to buy on the dip. So people still remaining pretty bullish on Nvidia. Love to see it. Tuesday, the market reversed Monday's action as investors digested the news and prepared for the Fed's decision and Mag 7 earnings. Starbucks' earnings report indicated there's still a lot of work for the coffee giant to do. And two special guests joined Trends with Friends. So if you guys aren't checking out Trends with Friends from StockTwits, you definitely should. Um, what else we got? Wednesday, the Fed paused its rate cut cycle with three of the seven Mag 7 reported results. Trump turned the heat up on Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Tesla, Microsoft, and Meta reported results, and earnings drove many of the major moves from last week. Then Thursday, stocks rebounded. Gold and precious metals stole the show a bit last week. Apple jumped despite missing expectations for iPhone sales. Trump turned up his tariff threats, which we obviously saw accelerated over the weekend. And crypto's bullishness went mainstream. On Friday, stocks slipped from their highs as Trump implemented tariffs earlier than anticipated. Energy stocks fell as their earnings continued to fall from their peak, driven by weakness in refining. And then we launched the first weekend of the trade competition with real cash prices, so shout out to that. But Shy, anything? I mean, it was a big week last week. We had a lot going on. Anything you really wanna touch on here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the semiconductor investors. I mean, DeepSeek narrative, tariff narrative, like a lot of people don't realize China has a heavy exposure to a lot of the chip makers. So tariffs are going to be at play, and we don't even know what the China's response is yet to Trump's tariff on China. So like I think there's just so much noise that they're going to be range bound. Like I just can't imagine we're hitting a new all time high anytime soon when there's multiple agents of just disruption right now happening in the equity market narrative. So I think this is a great place where you build your cash position. Like you don't have to feel the urgency to get in. Like these aren't great discounts to be honest. Like it really isn't yet. So I'd be patience is part of the course. And the Fed, like why would the Powell feel the urge to cut rates when like the data is not showing the urgency to do so? Like and we have potential tariffs and this new presidency. Like it makes sense for them to pause. Gold and precious metals, like what happens when there's geopolitical tension, uncertainty in the equity markets. Bitcoin and crypto isn't the area of safety as a lot of people anticipated was going to be a couple years ago. It really is, for me, it's a barometer on risk, the appetite for any kind of equity market. So gold and precious metals should do well if like there is some squeamishness in the investors, and that's what highlighted last week's outperformance. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are noticing a trend so far in 2025. You just don't hold trades over the weekend. Like it's just Friday power hour has been really ugly. It's because there's a lot of narrative that gets released over the weekends now that's causing some pretty brutal Monday pre-market action. And that's been the case past 3 weeks. So we'll see if that's going to continue the rest of the year.
It's definitely been, I look at 2024 as very much a more longer term investing, a more longer term swing trading market, whereas so far 2025 is definitely for me more of an intraday market, right? More of a quick trading, shorter term market to be trading. Don't be too invested in a certain direction for too long, right? I've played plenty longs, I've played plenty shorts so far this year. Doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I don't care which way we're going. Whatever opportunities are clean and show me clarity is what I want, right? And whether that's up or down. So that's kind of been what it's like lately. So something to think about, right? It's not just blindly buy every dip. So moving on, let's see what we got. Here's the economic data for this week. We've got a ton going on. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, ISM Manufacturing PMI, a ton of Fed speakers throughout the entire week. We got JOLTS, that's tomorrow, looks like. More Fed speakers, ADP employment change, balance of trade. What else we got? Initial jobless claims later in the week. We're going to have non-farm payrolls on Friday, unemployment data coming out on Friday. So it's a massive week of data. Definitely watch out for that. And then, of course, I know we have earnings as well. That's probably the next slide. But we have a ton of earnings as well this week, so to watch out for that. But, yeah, here we go. Here's the earnings to watch out for. Palantir tonight. That's going to be a big one. Me and Shay were kind of talking about that before the show started. Feeling a little bearish, little cautious from that chart. The way, me personally looking at it, the way we swept those highs. I'm sure there's a chart on it. We'll talk about it later. But those earnings are going on tonight. We got a ton of big earnings as well throughout the week. AMD, Google, so plenty to watch out for. Plenty of catalysts. Any that are catching your eye and that you're really going to be watching this week, Shay?
I mean, Palantir, obviously, for sure for me. First one's up. I think Palantir is interesting. It's honestly growth versus valuation. That's like the theme of Palantir's earnings this afternoon. I anticipate the fundamentals coming in really strong. I think the open source AI narrative that's coming to light in the markets from DeepSeek is going to be a major beneficiary for a name like Palantir, where they don't need to build the best AI models. It just needs to be the best at applying AI. So this LLM arms race you're witnessing that DeepSeek is accelerating, Palantir's LLM agnostic. So they're going to benefit substantially once AI tools become cheaper and cheaper. But it's just like Palantir's real risk isn't the AI competition, like I mentioned. It's just whether it can scale fast enough to justify its valuation. At $82 right now, the market is essentially pricing in dominance, perfection in enterprise AI. Like that's not a question. It's just you need to back that up with flawless execution, continued commercial adoption, sustain like the AI integration I referenced in the LLM arm race, that needs to be sustained, and the lead has to be extended as well. Like there's just so many areas that they need to back up their valuation that typically it leans on risk than reward. So that I'm not bearish on the company. Jordan's not saying he's bearish on the company.
No.
He's just bearish on this where the stock is entering this print. That's a clear difference. So what I anticipate, and also like I do want to call out, I mentioned this to Jordan and the team before the call, where a lot of Palantir's top talent, like they got shares rewarded once the stock price hit a certain level. And I think you're going to start seeing that come to light in an EPS hit for the Palantir stock. So like put my little um, psychic hat on. I do think that Palantir is going to beat on the top line. They're going to miss on the EPS due to rewarding these top talent on their shares due to the it being above $50, $60, etc. And then it's going to be algo driven down significantly. But then once you realize the EPS miss wasn't business execution, it was just purely kind of SBC related, it's kind of slowly recovering. You're going to hear Carp on the call talk about we're LLM agnostic, like DeepSeek is accelerating the democratization of AI, and we're perfectly positioned for it. And I think that the stock really is going to be, I've been saying this for a while, it's going to be range bound between like $50 to $80. Like, I just don't think it's for a long time. Like, I don't think it's for months. I think it's going to be for the rest of the year, maybe into next year, because it
And that's
needs
okay, right?
it's okay. It's
It's a
10x,
good
and
thing.
it's the stock is 10x in 2 years based on a narrative change, not real that drastic of a fundamental improvement. So if they don't prove to grow at least 35% this year, they are at risk at round being range bound. Like I don't think they're gonna go to 30 or 40 just because they are a clear stage two AI winner. And if you want an exposure to the AI bucket for stage two, you can't have that without Palantir. So like I think there's a high floor in the stock. Valuation is taking a backseat, but they kind of have to execute for to justify it being trading at $80, and that's a tall order. So yeah, that's gonna be one that's gonna be on my radar for sure today, and I'm gonna get asked a ton of questions about that earnings, so I'm gonna be listening to that conference call right away.
Oh yeah, good stuff. It's a big week. So moving on. What else we got? Here's some charts. Let's get into it. Apple rally just hit a brick wall. So wow, I didn't even see that on Friday. Wait. I need to pull that up on my chart. Oh yeah, it's a bit of a nasty day. I mean, things were looking good, right? We got right back to the daily range highs here, and back tested that. I was talking about last week how I wish I held some of my long position a little bit longer. I was just targeting the 50% retracement of that gap, but beautiful moves to the upside from Apple, but obviously getting slapped just under that 250. So something to watch out for, right? I could see. I mean, I kind of said this when Apple tanked it and we were like right back down at the lows here. You know, I expected a bit of a bounce, but I really expect this thing to go sideways here because since November 4th, we've rallied straight to the upside with, I mean, very minimal pauses. And then without really consolidating at all, we just reverse price straight to the downside, right back to these lows. I'm not really expecting any more big directional moves on Apple, at least anytime soon. So wouldn't be surprised if I see this thing trade right back to the lows that I was actually longing at around that 219.71, 220 area. Wouldn't be surprised if we want to trade back down there and just really go sideways in this, I don't know, like $10 range, 220 to 230 area. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple wants to just go right sideways through that area. So I don't know what your thoughts are on Apple, Shy, at this range. I feel like it's just kind of like turning into a dead space here that I don't want to really participate in.
I told my subscriber this like right in the earnings call after after I heard it as well. I was shocked that it was up, and I had no idea why. Why? Because their earnings did not support them being up from that print. That was a really ugly print. Like estimates are clear for the next like 3 years. They're clearly going to come down due to the currency headwinds and delays in the monetization of the iPhone super cycle didn't happen. You saw their Q1 iPhone revenue come in at 69 billion, I think it was. That was below consensus, and you're seeing that Apple Intelligence adoption has been modest. Let's just say modest so far. Like that's like really elegant way of saying like it's been really disappointing. And I do think like their March quarter guidance has them being flat on their iPhone revenue, even when there's going to be like an iPhone SE launch. Like it's just not the growth narrative that a lot of Apple shareholders wish I was hoping they would have last year when it kind of had that Q3, Q4 build up in the stock price. And also like there's definitely significant ongoing struggles in China, and the weakening iPhone demand there is you just can't ignore that. And there was a massive miss on China sales. Like it was in the billions. So like I think that you can have that's half glass empty. Half glass full is like their services and Mac part of their business is performing really well. And it's just there needs to be a clear path in the second half of this year to the iPhone growth before turning somewhat constructive that it's not going to happen, and it was a narrative that was completely missed. But long term, like they are set up once the AI thematic moves from the cloud to consumers, like they are perfectly set up to be the AI consumer winner of this era. Like I'm not like that's I think they're set up for that. And it's just not happening in the near term. And the stock needs to reflect that. It just has to because it ran up
Yeah,
from
it ran up
November
a
of
lot.
24. Yeah, it ran up a lot on a near term monetization
Guys,
on Apple
Apple's
Intelligence.
casually like like trading well over $200, like
There,
$200 stock. That wasn't the case not too
no.
long ago. You know what I mean?
So
So
it
I'm
just needs
with
to
you.
reflect that. That's it. It just needs
At
to
the end of
correct,
the
and
day,
it's
though,
fine.
I love Apple long term, right? This is a stock like I won't ever sell. I will always hold Apple, and I always look to buy significant dips on Apple for the sheer reason of obviously like innovation and growth. Lately, I feel like has definitely been on the sideline more. You know, not as big as some of these other companies. But at the end of the day, you know, to my right, I have my iPhone, which I'm on Spaces on like 12 hours a day. I have my MacBook, which I use all day long, every day. Gav was talking about this too on Spaces the other day. Wolf Financial. We were talking about how he has his earbuds in. He has multiple charging cables. Like everything is Apple. Everywhere we look is Apple, and that's just for that sheer reason. It's like that's all I use, right? Except for the PC that I'm on with you guys, right? But like other than that, everything I own is Apple, and like for that reason, gotta always be a long term holder. If you know, if everywhere I look, all I see is Apple, I have to own some stock. So simple as that for me. Always a company I'm looking to own, but of course, you know, near term, definitely looking for more potential downside to just sideways boring price action, honestly. So we'll see what we got. What's next? We got Nvidia stuck in the bear flag. Yeah, so you know, Nvidia is kind of broken down a bit. On the daily chart, we have kind of broken the structure we were holding, you know. It doesn't mean bulls can't step in, but for me, it's kind of like bears have taken a little bit of control on this chart. Obviously, if we want to come down and just retest some of these lows that we've made previously in October, September, July, all that previously in the last year, then, you know, I could see that happening. But I don't know. It's tough here, Shy. How are we feeling? We're kind of just going sideways after this big breakdown. You know, if I was feeling really bullish, I would have liked to see those lows that we broke down from reclaim. We tried to do that a few times over the past week, and we weren't able to do that. So a little cautious for me, and now we're going to be open up under those range lows. So definitely a little scary on Nvidia looking. I'm curious on your thoughts here on, you know, how we're like, is this really a break of structure to you, kind of to the downside, or things kind of changing in your mind? What are you feeling here?
Yeah, so for Nvidia, you guys reference like there's four. I always reference there's four stages of a stock chart that you need to know and protect yourself or capitalize on. Like stage one, two, three, four. Stage two is where you make your cash. Stage four is when you lose that cash. Stage four gets initiated when the 200-day SMA gets broken, and that's when a lot of investors, I mean, a lot of traders get defensive. This hasn't happened in Nvidia in more than 2 years. This is the first time they retest this 200-day SMA level, or you can do the 40-week SMA. It doesn't matter. Since December 2022, and that level is at. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, 40-week SMA is. It's just 200-day SMA is actually at 122 on the stock. It's opening at 115 now, or pre-market is 115. This is looking like it's also with volume. This is looking like a stage four breakdown, but I do think earnings could save the day for Nvidia if they show the party's continuing strong. Blackwell's doing really well. Some commentary on DeepSeek's implications on their forward guidance or whatnot, like diminish the noise associated with the stock. I think it's gonna like I think that could save the day. But this is the most worrisome I've been. Like I'm not an Nvidia shareholder, but if I wasn't an Nvidia shareholder, this is the first time I'm thinking to myself, do I cash out until his noise diminishes and they recover the 200-day SMA? Because it's ran up so much, and there's multiple agents of disruption right now in the narrative on Nvidia stock. Geopolitical, tariffs, DeepSeek. There's just so, and we're not even talking about the Blackwell ramp up. Like they're ramping up Blackwell and brand new chip. There might be some hurdles or headwinds that occur when that process takes place. So like I think you're also seeing like the hyperscalers start creating their own custom silicon chips that's going to diminish their GPU hardware dominance. But luckily, CUDA is going to save the day for Nvidia. But like, there's still, it's just a noisy stock all of a sudden when that was not the case for multiple years. So I don't think it's going to revert back to 70, 80, or even $90. I personally, I see I'm going to be loading up around the like 100 to $105 range if it hits there before the earnings, just because the anchored average VWAP from January 2024, that's been the level every single time Nvidia's pulled back. They pull back in April 2024, pull back during a yen carry crisis in August. It bounced exactly at that level. And that level right now is indicating to me $103. So that's why I'm like 100 to 105. That's my buffer. If we test that level before their earnings report, I do think their earnings are going to be really strong. I'm probably going to do a pretty big trading position as well, because I already have one right now. I do have somewhat of a trading position, which I'm going to have to sell pre-market. I mean, I will see how it opens, but like I'm going to sell that and just going to wait to see if that retests the 100 to 105 range, and then I'm going to do probably like a 5% position for their earnings play. But yeah, I'm cautious now with this name just because of the stage 4 breakdown.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll see how earnings goes. What other charts we got? GitLab clears major resistance. So GitLab trying to get over that $70, and looks like we got a close over it on Friday. You can see that volume at the bottom as well, rising volume, right? That's exactly what you want to see when you're trying to break out of a major area. So like to see that here. I would like to see this continue and get over those previous highs that we have around. It's like just under that $78 there. But looking good here. I mean, nothing absolutely crazy quite yet, but you went from, again, making those aggressive lower lows and lower highs to we got this basing price action, and now we're starting to get some momentum and trying to really break these highs. So I would just like to see continued momentum here, right? At this point, you've seen the downside, you've seen the sideways accumulation. Now it's like, okay, you want to see this thing start to actually go and get some momentum. Although I'm not super familiar with GitLab, it's not a name I trade often, so I don't really know how it moves on an intraday basis, right? But just looking at the chart here, I'd like to see this maybe try and get going. Any thoughts from you, Shay?
I think GitLab. I started a trading position once I started digging into more AI agents. What software names are going to benefit substantially in the near term on that? Just because AI agents is hitting the world this year. It's going to. You're not seeing too much of it yet, but you're going to. Especially, I think this summer you're going to see whoa, especially in the software space. GitLab is going to be, their source code managing is going to be a necessity in the agentic AI environment. I don't know in multiple years what they're going to be like, because you need to be able to sell yourself as a platform in this post-agentic AI world we're about to enter. And I don't know if they can do that, but I know their source code management is going to be a necessity and then immediate. So I think this right now is a very undervalued stock. Started one at like, I think it was like 58, $60. I was like, I think this could hit 150 and like by 2026. And I think it's the reason for that is because it was being mispriced already because of GitHub's dominance in their space. But I think that there's more enough space for duopoly. I think they got new CEO, which caused them to kind of sandbag their guidance due to that's just a corporate away. We have a new captain of the ship. You want to make sure expectations are low, under promise, over deliver type of thing. And they got penalized for that. But I do think that they're going to be growing like a 30% CAGR for the next 2 or 3 years. And right now, there's only a few names that can justify doing that, especially in this environment we're about to enter. And I think they're going to catch a major bid. I think this is going to be one of those names where, wow, GitLab, that was like one of those hidden gem monsters that nobody really talks about, but it's going to be the biggest outperformer in software in the next like 1 to 2 years. So I am becoming increasingly more bullish on GitLab. And you're seeing the stock, like, if it clears $78, it's going to fly.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
so clearly trying to make a turnaround here.
Yeah, it's because of agentic AI. It's
and
AI
the fact
agents
that you
is that
like
catalyst.
it with the fundamentals now, that definitely gets me a little more interested in this. So definitely a name I'm gonna have on my watch list and be keeping my eye on. Because if I like the chart and Shy likes the fundamentals,
Deadly duo.
that's when I'm starting to, my eyes get wide. So we'll see what we got next. Tempest. This is a name we've seen plenty of on the show. AI holding strong. This is holding over that $50 psychological level, just kind of consolidating sideways after getting a nice move up from the lows. So looking interesting here. I'd like to see this, keep this consolidation going healthy and then break towards that $60. I mean, that's really clearly the next spot to the highs or to the upside that I would see us needing to test. And then, if we want to get those $68 highs and the $76 highs, I'm all for it. But gotta touch that $60 first, and that's clearly a psychological level to watch out for. So, keeping an eye on this. What's your thoughts on Tempest here?
Started a new position in
Oh, you
Tempest.
did. Let's go.
I sold one of my core positions to get into Tempest, and I explained why that is. But yeah, I think healthcare is one of those industries that's going to get disrupted in AI in a good way. But the issue is it's a dinosaur of an industry that doesn't really move too much. But you're seeing Nancy Pelosi essentially give it the green light approval on her. This is her newest holding, Nancy Pelosi. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, she has insights on what's coming down the pipeline that nobody else does. 100%.
Of course.
So, by the way, when I say Nancy, her husband did a $500,000 option on Tempest. But I'm read between the lines. There's pillow talk that's occurring. So I do think that Tempus AI is like a $5 or $6 billion company at the time when they invested, or when they had that option. Like, she invests in the Broadcoms, the Nvidias, the Googles. Like, she invests in mega caps. She doesn't invest in small caps. And this is one of the most fascinating plays on healthcare AI, but it's kind of got an anchor to it because a lot of things are out of their control that maybe government initiatives can make them finally unleash itself. And precision medicine is the future. It is. Nobody really has solved the AI angle of precision medicine. Tempest is the closest thing to it, but it feels very sci-fi the way it's going about it. But those sci-fi ways of early tech disruptors, that's where multi-baggers are formed. Nvidia felt very sci-fi as the kingpin of the new digital economy just 5 or 6 years ago. Everyone viewed them as just a gaming chip company. Nobody viewed them as the kingpin of this new digital economy that's going to be lasting for decades. If the healthcare AI is going to be a reality and there's going to be more government initiatives towards it, this is going to be a massive mover. So I think we're at that stage where I'm not caring as much about finding the companies who are building the roads of AI. I'm more focused on the destination of AI, and that's the applications. Like, the infrastructure is essential work, yes, but that's not where my eyeballs are anymore. My eyeballs are going to be on the crown jewel of this era, and any crown jewel of any tech revolution is always the applications that's built on top of the structural arteries of whatever that industrial revolution is. Healthcare AI is going to be one of those structure applications that will benefit the most. So, had a starter position. It definitely looks overvalued in the near term because it nearly doubled in a matter of weeks, and it doubled on a narrative and not fundamentals at all. So, I think their next earnings report can be somewhat risky, and that's why I only have a 2% position in this name. Like, the more I'm researching, I'm like, oh my god, I'm feeling very PLTR. Like, I feel a lot of elements of what PLTR was on AI. This is what it is for precision medicine. I'm like, whew, this is exciting stuff and something I'm under.
Yeah, definitely.
Market's opening up though in 1 minute. Exciting.
Ooh, let's go. Keep an eye out. Yeah. I usually don't trade Mondays, but given the data we have from last week, I might actually be making some trades. We'll see. But still feeling like we could get lower on NQs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. EA Arts breaks down trend on volume. So this is trying to, let's see here. I can't really see the chart very clearly, but this is trying to break the downtrend. At the end of the day, there's earnings coming up on EA, I believe, this week. Yeah, I believe they're this week, if not next. Either way, something to watch out for with earnings coming up. Yeah, they're tomorrow after the close. So no matter what the chart is doing, to be honest, you got to be careful with earnings coming in tomorrow. There's that bell. Market is open. But you got to be careful with EA earnings coming up, no matter what the chart's done lately. Obviously, earnings could come in and change the whole narrative. So just be careful there with EA. But Shy, EA is not really a name I feel like we talk about much on the show. Do you have any thoughts on Electronic Arts?
Not at all. I don't
I
think
mean,
that's
not
where you
really a
want it to be in
company I would look
gaming.
to,
Yeah.
invest in. But I've definitely traded it here and there. So, but definitely, and never a name I've owned shares in personally. So, Shy don't like it. That definitely steers me a little away from that. So, moving on. Let's see what else we got. Oh no, we are done. We are good with the
Sure.
charts. Shy's making moves. That's all right. You're good. You're good.
I got off. I bought some puts on Friday. I'm
Gotta
offloading them
offload them,
ASAP.
take the profits. Nvidia is breaking down. Let's see where we're headed on Nvidia real
Ooh,
quick.
it's
I just
really
wanna take a
breaking
look.
down. Jeez.
Also, we just had some questions in the chat. Somebody asked what kind of news will you be looking for entry opportunities in these kinds of downturns. So, I mean, Shy, you can probably answer that better because I don't personally really trade like news catalysts per se, unless it's with options on an individual name. But even then, I'm not really entering off news or anything. But maybe you can give some color on maybe how you trade with news
I mean,
around
I
as
think
catalysts.
it's tariffs.
Yeah.
Tariffs need to stop. I think a lot of people thought this Trump tariffs was gonna be a bluff. It wasn't. It was a reality, and I think the market's reflecting that a bit. So I think as soon as tariffs go down, like just look at the dollar, the U.S. dollar is what's causing everything to like falter right now. So just look at the U.S. dollar. That's the major catalyst. Like, see how that reacts. Look at the 10-year yield, and then you get the tell. Like right now, like TLT is green. So like I don't think that's why I think there's a bottom in the market right now. That's why I'm offloading my puts. I think this is just like the market, like all the stocks are like down a lot, indices are down a lot, but the actual like benchmark to monitor is showing that market shouldn't really be down that much actually. That's why I'm like offloading a lot of the puts, and you're seeing Amazon's supposed to go green. This is wild. Damn it, that's the one stock I wanted to buy more of. That's frustrating.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Nvidia, I'm getting some long wicks off that 113. We'll see if that wants to try and hold. Getting close to that 105, Shy. Getting close.
I know that's the ad level.
I like that though. Not a bad spot. Feel free to drop tickers in the chat if you want us to take a look at anything while the market's opening here. Haven't made any moves. We do have some divergence between ES and NQ, where ES actually took and broke Monday's lows, where NQ is holding Monday's lows and making a higher low from that area. So want to see if that holds. I still would personally like to see 693.50 on the NQs, which would be a new daily low out of this range, which I'm sure a lot of people don't want, which I could understand. But for me, I would personally like that better for an upside trade going into this next week here. But if we want to hold these lows, I'm happy to trade upside from this. It's just it would make more sense if we wanted to go lower to me. But either way, got that gap above on futures. We generally do fill those gaps on futures. It might take a while, but it generally does fill. So probably expecting that today. Which what would that trade to? That would trade us to like 557 on NQ, so 300 points higher. Definitely could be something to capitalize on there. But all in all, I think it would be a move higher to go lower potentially. Let's take a look at Microsoft real quick. Microsoft, obviously, big name that is heavily weighted in the S&P, but to be honest, I mean, we've kind of talked about this. This thing has gone sideways for a while, and it continues to go sideways. And as long as it's going sideways like this in this weekly range, I want no business with Microsoft. Like, there's no reason for me to take a position in either direction when we're just going absolutely sideways like this, and nothing has happened since January of last year, really December of the previous year. So we consolidated for an entire year, right? It's not really something I'm looking to trade right now. If we want to get some actual confirmation of us maybe getting out of this range, whichever way that might be, then maybe we can get some momentum going and actually be trading this name, but for me, there's just no real opportunity here unless you're a long-term investor holding shares. I just don't. I don't see the opportunity on Microsoft. What about you,
I,
Shy?
I call I called last summer. I was doing a fireside chat. I was like, I think Microsoft's going to be range bound for years.
Yeah.
Once I saw their cloud work Azure numbers, I was like, this is bad, and this is with them like kind of manipulating the number, massaging numbers a bit with their open AI relationship. I was like, I just valuation PG, their PEG ratio is above a 3.0. I don't see. I see Palantir somewhat like eating some of their lunch of future avenues that wasn't the case years before. Like Microsoft essentially is the operating system for enterprises. Like that's a TLDR of what Microsoft is. Palantir is the operating system of AI. Do you not think those two names are somewhat going to clash going forward in an enterprise or commercial space? I think it will. I'm not saying like Microsoft's going to go to zero. I'm just saying like what's their near term catalyst that's going to cause them to go up for the next leg? I don't see one. I see a
Yeah.
lot of noise. So I think Microsoft's going to be kind of range bound for a while, and AGI is going to be the story for them. And I think Copilot has been a dud in the AI monetization era, and that it's just worrisome. Like I don't know. Like it's valuation needs to catch up to it, and I think that's why it's going to be range bound.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Tough stock to be trading right now and really the whole past year. I caught a few options trades on it, but again, like nothing really that followed through because we consolidated all year, right? And it's okay. Like it's still a name I like for the long term. Similar to kind of Apple, but not as much as Apple, but just tough to be constantly trading. I think for me, it's I I'll have a little shares in my long term, and if we get some really oversold conditions, happy to maybe buy some of that stock back when the time is right. But other than that, I'm not really looking to be too too in Microsoft. But let's see, BBAI. I don't think I've looked at this name. Big Bear AI. What does the company do? Big Bear AI Holdings engages
Oh,
in data-driven decision dominance.
it's a SPAC
Against
version of
earnings.
Palantir, apparently back in
Oh,
the day. It's just I don't know. There's only one
interesting.
Palantir in the world. You can't say this is the
Yeah.
Palantir of this. Like I hate that phrase. Like everyone uses that for Amazon.
Yeah.
BBI, Big Bear, it's interesting, but I don't know. It's just why
It's been
bother?
consolidating. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look horrible. It's healthy consolidation, but again, like your thoughts, right? It's like why this over some of the other opportunities you have at hand. So I'm kind of with you there, but obviously, if you want to take shorter term trades here, you can make that call on yourself. But I'm kind of in the same boat. Why? I don't. It doesn't make sense here to me. Someone's asking about your TMDX position, Shy. How that's doing here.
Oh,
I haven't looked at TMDX. Let's take a look.
I mean it's recovering. I downgraded my TMDX from a big position to 4%, and not because I think the thesis is broken. I think short reports, their last earnings reports. I think a lot of people. Unfortunately, I have a lot of experience in this because my stocks get hit with a narrative problem. Feels like yearly, an annual thing. Snowflake before, Palantir the year before that, CrowdStrike during the outage incident, blah 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 blah. Always, I don't know why. It's just maybe the part of being a growth investor. TMDX has a massive narrative issue, and that's going to take multiple quarters to phase out. They're gonna just have to report back like, at least two earnings reports of bucking the short narrative. And for me, I'm like, software is where you want to be this year. Like really like aggressively exposed to once stage two of AI is getting launched, which it is right now. Do I want to have an 8% position in TMDX when my thesis is it's going to be a dead stock for 6 months? Still really bullish long term in this name, but I think it's going to be a dead stock for 6 months. When my thesis for phase two of AI software is finally playing out after I've been positioning for this market move in these names for over 2 years, I'm going to be more, I'm putting more chips towards software for 2025 then. And in order to do that, I needed to diminish my TMDX exposure. So I think TMDX is long term really fine. I think management learned some growing pains through that jet acquisition and the fleet management. the narrative on how much you have to over communicate certain competitive headwinds and not just be as vague. And in that vagueness, you have these short funds capitalizing on that and creating that, filling that gap on the vagueness you're providing for the company by having this competitive headwinds. Um, it's essentially the Squid Games company where there's harvesting organs in the black market. It's complete BS, the short report. But I think that is somewhat of a lingering overhang on the narrative of the stock. And combine that with the competitive headwinds we've seen in the past couple months in the market data, it's set up to be a range bound until something clears up. So I'm still bullish long term, but I'm definitely not as I'm not as exposed to his name as I was 6 months ago. Not because I'm bearish on TMDX. I'm just really bullish on software. I want more software. And
Yeah,
as I say that, TMDX is green today. So
makes
that's
sense.
Amazon is green and Nvidia is bleeding more. Interesting.
Coinbase getting a pop. How's Bitcoin after market open? Bitcoin getting a pop with the into the market open here. So holding that 94,238 so far. Um, I was talking. I don't know if I said this on the show or if it was just before the show, but I'm looking for potentially those January 13th lows on Bitcoin. Um, we'll see. We're definitely getting bought up off this 91.5, and price is trying to hold and make a higher low here. But if we do want to potentially go and manipulate those January lows, I'm happy to maybe take some part in some more
What's
longs there.
happening right now? My portfolio just is down like 0.5% right now. What's moving?
Yeah, like markets like kind of actually
Oh,
moving up.
software's getting bought
Uh
up
oh,
a bit right now. So that's good.
how's
Yeah, you're
crowd?
seeing
Did crowd take a massive dip after that rally it had? No, it
now
really
it's consolidating.
didn't, and it's holding price well. We have a gap above now. This is looking good actually.
Guys, I'm a CrowdStrike bull. You guys all know it. I thought my average cost basis is around like $110 for this name because I saw them as like the all-in-one cybersecurity platform for enterprises. I think this is also a dead stock for a year or two. Like a lot of people realize like the outage impact, it's not going to be last months. It's going to last like years, and especially the contracts that the way the contracts work for CrowdStrike, like it's multi-year contracts. So if you're in the middle of your contract with CrowdStrike and you saw the outage, like once you have to renew the contract, that's when like again CrowdStrike's gonna have to sacrifice some margins to make sure they retain these customers. Like this is one of those names where like, the stock price it had a V-shaped recovery and it was exactly where it was pre-outage, but the fundamental profile is drastically different. It's a much more expensive stock now. So I'm like, this is one stock that I'm just like not touching. I'm not selling. I'm just not buying, even though I'm really bullish on the stage two of AI and what do you have to do once data explodes from this AI environment we're about to enter. You got to protect that data. So cybersecurity is a necessity, but valuation is super high right now for CrowdStrike. They regained that premium valuation, acted like the outage didn't occur, like matter. Maybe that was like the gut punch of proving like do they have an actual moat? Clearly they do because they shut the world down for hours, and the market's willing to overlook that black eye because they see their long-term dominance. Valid moat validation if there was ever one. So I just I think I put this one. It was one of my holdings. I put this one of the stocks at risk of a potential like post sprint. So be cautious.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Tesla not doing much this morning. I'm looking for that to potentially go to the 373.04 level, daily range lows. I'd love to see that. I would love to see even lower on Tesla for potential swing trades in the future. But again, name that's been relatively strong this year so far and really just been consolidating after these impulsive moves up. No real aggressive selling going on. So I would actually like to see a little bit of aggressive selling come in to scare everybody a little bit. But we're not seeing that quite yet. So I'm holding off on any trades there. Still keeping an eye on NQ. I think we're going to come and try and fill this gap to the upside, to be honest. But no position so far for me. If I take any positions to the upside, I would like to see us go a bit lower. And then for downside trades, I need to see us go higher. So I'm kind of in that spot in the middle where I don't really have anything actionable right now. But Still looking for the market to kind of get magnetized towards this gap fill here on the futures because we do expect those futures gaps to usually get filled majority of the time. Sometimes it's not the same day, but I personally expect by the end of the day today that's already filled in. So we'll see. We will see. How are small caps? Small caps are really quiet this morning. Oil getting hit pretty hard. Gold looking really good. So gold, whoa. Yeah, gold's at highs. Wow. It's looking beautiful here. Getting close to another breakout of that 2862, so we'll see if that can do it, but lots of momentum on gold here, so keeping an eye there. I assume the same on silver because those are pretty much same chart. Let's take a look at Amazon because Google and Amazon are actually some two names that on my weekly newsletter I actually posted potential bearish setups. Obviously not long-term bearish on either of these stocks, but just for the week potential moves back down to the daily ranges, I wouldn't be surprised of. And if we do get the setup for it, I'm looking to potentially trade that on Google and Amazon. But obviously names that have just like broken out and have done really good, right? So nothing actionable yet for me. But if this is really a sweep of those highs and we potentially just need to trade back down to the daily range, that's something to capitalize on to the downside. And those are really the first downside trades I've put in the newsletter in like over a year. I think actually ever. Since I started the newsletter, the market has been very bullish. I don't even know if I've ever put any downside trades in there since this week. So, something to watch out for there. But any other thoughts on the market? Anything happening for you, Shy, right now?
You're not going to see a V-shaped recovery, guys. I think a lot of people.
It's not like 2024 anymore. What do you mean?
It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's a new characteristic. I think this tariff narrative headwind has legs. It's not just a bluff. Clearly, we're seeing that. So, I know I can see like sometime this week, like the tariffs getting removed, but also like it's a really, really earnings heavy week as well. Like there's just so much happening right now, and a lot of like times it's better just to sit on the sidelines until the picture clears up a bit more. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Like for me, like I'm a perma bull. I feel like I really do feel like I'm a perma tech bull. Like I really am super bullish on tech. I have no urgency to add. Like the one name I wanted to really add this week was Amazon, and that went green. So like I think that even if we get a 10% more pullback, a lot of the names I want more exposure and like we're nowhere close to my buy levels. Like I think we're just in this area of consolidation, range bound, or maybe we need more blood. But I think we're okay. Like the 10-year yield is showing somewhat of like relief. TLT is green. TLT is green, and at the end of the day, that matters most for the long-term picture. But yeah, I might short the VIX, to be honest. Like maybe buy some SVI. Like I might do some shorting the VIX plays because this feels like a very controlled sell-off. It's not that much fear-based, and I don't know what the VIX is even. Let me see what the VIX is even priced at right now. VIX is, yeah. See, VIX is only up 14%. Sorry, but like after all the new flood over the weekend, like I thought it was gonna be a 20-25% move. It's only up 14%. So like this is very controlled, and usually controlled sell-offs mean minimal bounce opportunities, just because it's just like it doesn't have that flavor on the sell-off, if that makes sense. Oh shoot, Jordan, you're on mute, or I can't hear you.
My bad. I was fixing my mic earlier and I forgot to unmute. Just taking a look at RR from the chat. So RR, not a name I would really be looking to trade personally, but you're in consolidation after impulsive moves up. Rich Tech Robotics. I would have thought the same thing though. Rolls Royce. I would have thought the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what this company does. Engages in the development of robotic technologies. The firm designs, manufactures, and sells robots. I don't have a reason to be invested or even trade this company at $2.25. I don't see the opportunity here other than you've had an impulsive move up and you're just going sideways right now. Let's take a look at the next one, KITT, another robotics name. Honestly, this looks even worse, in my opinion, than RR. At least RR was like kind of constructive looking with the consolidation. This just looks like a pop to be sold and continue selling this at $1.61 trading. Just again, like Shy always asks, why? I don't see the point here. I don't see the point. But any thoughts on those names, Shy? I've never looked at those.
Asking the wrong schmucks.
Yeah,
You're
man.
asking the wrong schmucks about
Yeah,
that.
but I always give my thoughts on the chart. I'll never shy away from looking at the chart. But yeah, just not names I would ever trade really. But yeah, any insight about the robotic stock? Can we get Shy to talk about DeFi? I don't think you're big on DeFi, are you?
If I was big on crypto, DeFi is very interesting to me. I'm a TradFi guy at heart, but DeFi is very interesting. We have the president CEO come on like on a monthly or bi-weekly
He should be
basis,
coming
like,
on again soon, I'm sure. We just had him on last week, but yeah, that's the DeFi legend right there. Obviously, I mean, if you're a big crypto guy, that's definitely the spot to be looking into, in my opinion. But that's why we have Mr. Russell come on, because he's the man for that. I don't really got anything else, man. I think we're all good to wrap up. If you ain't got anything else for the chat, Shy.
only thing I want to say is we're witnessing firsthand what high stakes poker looks like. You have to like kind of be monitoring what's real, what's not real, because there's bluffing and there's you got a full house of cards you're gonna win. Like nobody really knows what's occurring right now, but it's a high stakes poker. I just don't see Trump allowing the market to pull back significantly. I think again, high stakes poker. Trump's doing this with the Fed and China. The Fed is like maybe he's forcing the Fed to do something on rates if he causes chaos, if he becomes the agent of chaos. Like maybe that's what Trump's doing right now to like force the Fed's hand a bit. Either way, there's just so much narrative going left and right that it's too noisy. Don't overtrade during these noisy times. Like, don't. Outlasting is the key theme. Like live to trade another day. Live to invest another day. Don't get busted out of your positions, your trades, etc., because you are dictating your behavior on something that's happened in the past 2 years when this is a brand new ball game. It is brand new. So be cautious. Don't overleverage yourself. Don't get greedy. Staying on the sidelines doesn't mean you're missing out on opportunity. It means you're becoming wiser and wiser in your approach, and you want to be able to see a clear lane before going on that path towards whatever end game you're trying to get at.
Yeah, stop thinking that not trading is a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing most of the time. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I mean, I agree entirely. We're in a completely different market. It is not going to be as easy as it was this last year. So you got to prepare yourself. Don't just come in thinking you're going to buy every dip and make a ton of money like last year. It's not the case, in my opinion. And, Shai's thinking very similarly. So just be careful out there. Follow your guys' rules. Trade your plan. Remember, the money will come, right? Just focus on that plan, man. Focus on your trading and executing, and the money will come. So have a great day, y'all. We'll see you bright and early in the morning. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing the stream. As always, we appreciate you. And, we'll see you bright and early for another episode tomorrow. Enjoy the day, y'all.